to today's webinar on Advisor TV Advisor Radio. It's brought to you today by the Agent's Advisor, empowering independent insurance agents, and MedPlan Network, your medical insurance partner. My name is Joe Morris, Chairman and CEO of the Agent's Advisor. I'm with today's host, Jeff Roach, our Director of Financial Planning at the Agent's Advisor. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks, Joe. Hope everyone's doing fine out there. Good afternoon, good morning, whichever time zone you're in. And last week, we talked primarily about traditional fixed annuities, where you just lock in a 3, 4, 5, 7-year rate. Very easy to understand. I do want to clarify a couple things, that the interest rates I quoted last week between 3.3 and 3.7 were as of January 30th, 2019. So those rates do change pretty much weekly, and sometimes even more so. So again, that had to do with traditional fixed annuity rates, and also the commissions that we discussed of the 2 to 3% range, unless if the client is over the age of 75, in some cases 80. Those were for, again, traditional fixed. This week, part 2, we're going to talk a little bit about the index annuity market, and that seems to be a strong, very also popular index option for anybody that says, hey, you know, I want to try to get a little bit better returns than 3.3 to 3.6. And so we'll go ahead and discuss kind of what is an index annuity versus a traditional fix and so forth. Okay? So any questions on that, please again write those down and we will get back with you. So what is a fixed index annuity and how does it differ from a traditional fix? Well, I explained traditional fixed just now. So an index annuity, the money that the client puts in to purchase an index annuity goes into the fixed account of the insurance company, but the interest that they earn is based on a mathematical formula that the insurance company uses, and it goes off of, it could be an index like the S&P 500, an international index, an index that the company has put together. So let's just keep it simple and discuss the S&P 500. Whenever you hear that, sometimes people say, wait a minute, is my client, is their money in the stock market? No, their money is never in the stock market. These are insurance fixed products. But again, the returns that they receive, let's just say that the index, the S&P 500, goes up in a given year from January 6th to January 6th. Then there's going to be a participation rate, which right now, a lot of them, to keep it simple, say the participation rate is 100%. So if the S&P 500 goes up 5% that year, and they say we have 100% participation up to 5%, then that client is going to be credited 5% interest on that year. However, the way that the insurance companies do work is they've got to protect themselves too. So the second part of that equation is the cap rates that are out there. So what happens in the event that the S&P 500 goes up 22% in a given year? Well, the trade-off for an index annuity, you will never ever have a negative return. So the way that the insurance companies absorb that risk is you have caps on the top side. Caps are ranging anywhere from 3% on the low end to 6 and 7, 8% on the high end. So my example I just used of 100% participation, and the S&P 500 does 5%, and the cap was 5%. In that case, the client would have received a full 5 percentage points. Now, let me throw out another example to you. Client invests money. The market goes up 16% in a given year from January 6th to January 6th, but the cap rate is 6%. What does the client receive that year? Well, they receive 100% of the participation up to 6%. So where's the other 10% go? Again, the trade-off is you, to protect the downside, you don't get all the upside. So the way that most annuities are explained is the best way to make money is to make sure you don't lose it on a bad year. So we take it year number 2. Year number 2, now the market goes down 7%. What happens to the client? Well, the client is going to get a 0 that year on the equity side. So first year they got 6%, second year they got 0. So if you're looking at it from an average, you would have averaged right around 3% for those first 2 years. Fixed index annuities work very, very well if you feel like the S&P 500 or the international indexes or whatever indexes you choose are going to be positive most of the time. If you feel we're going to go in a 4 or 5 year downturn, then of course you probably would just go back and buy the true fixed annuity and get 3.5, somewhere in that range, and not take any of the risk of getting a 0, 0, 0. Now that hasn't happened in a long time where you got 2 zeros in a row, but it could. Okay, so we've covered how the interest rate is credited. Again, it's a lot more complicated than this, but basically it's a participation rate with a cap. Now, that cap could be a 1 year point to point. It could be a monthly averaging, could be a 2 year point to point. It could be a performance trigger. That's where these products get quite a bit more confusing. But again, that's what we're here for. And that's what our partner Ash Brokerage is here for, to explain some of that. We also discussed what happens if the S&P market index that you're in goes negative for a year. You get a 0. Historical averages on these products. If you go to a dinner seminar, someone out there just trying to promote these big time, they're going to tell the people in the room 5 to 7%. I would be more careful than that. I would say that your average on these is going to be competitive, more so with traditional fixed annuities and traditional fixed CDs, and probably more in the 3 to 5.5, maybe 3 to 6% range. If you explain it like that, then you'll never overpromise to your clients. And so if they do only average 3.25 over 5 years, you're not going to have some complaints. But if you go out there and start talking about these things are going to average 7, 8, 9%, it's probably not going to happen. The nice thing is the client never ever gets a statement where you have a negative. So those that are very risk averse, those that say the stock market itself just scares me and I want something that I get better than a CD, I get better than a savings account, I'm willing to leave it in there until I'm at least 59.5, which is also the case with the fixed annuities we talked about last week. And I don't need to take that money out, all of it at one time until I'm past the surrender charge. Then fixed annuities or indexed annuities might make some good sense. Okay, so again, no negative. So on a given year, if the market's down 25, 30%, they're going to be happy because they didn't lose any money. As I mentioned, you're giving up some of the performance on the upside to avoid the negative downsides. The 59.5% rule, or the 59.5 year age rule, does apply on all annuities, as I just mentioned. Traditional fixed, index, or even the variable annuities that are out there. So as of this moment, we've talked about participation rates. We've talked about the caps. The other thing that you might see out there are some bonus products. And I just happened to call our supplier of annuities this morning, and there are premium bonuses and there are future income bonuses. The premium bonuses are ones that get added directly to your deposit, and some of them say any money you deposit for the first year will be premium bonused. Any money you deposit for over the next 2 years will be bonused, and some of them go all the way up to 4 years. So if you're in a competitive situation and you've come across another person that's shown a bonus product, just know that they are out there. Right now, bonuses are ranging from 2 to 6% on the premium bonus. Now, you got to be careful because what most of the time the trade-off there is that the caps are a little lower than the 5 and 6% we talked about. They might be more in the 3.5 3.25 to 4% range. So just keep in mind that bonuses are out there anywhere between 2 to 6%, but the person may be giving up some upside potential on the backside. The other bonus that's available is what we call the future income guarantee bonus. And I have seen some of those as high as 20, 25%. So a person goes to the dinner seminar and hears that 20, 25%. They're thinking, oh, I'm going to get a 20, 25% bonus on my premium. Well, that's usually a bonus on your future income, which means that the contract's probably going to be 9, 10, 11, 12 years in length. You probably need to be at least beyond the age of 59 and a half before you start taking the income. And yes, you will get that enhancement to the income over that lifetime, but you also need to look further at the contract and see, okay, well, what is the cap rate? What is the crediting rate throughout the course of the year? Because that's one other thing that folks forget is the insurance company is in a position where every single year when your anniversary comes due, they do have the right to reevaluate their risk and to adjust those caps either up or down. Good quality companies will keep it competitive, and some companies will go higher to try to get you to choose their product, and some companies will actually reduce their caps. So be very careful about locking yourself into 10 or 15 or 20 year contract where they might possibly reduce those after year one. There is usually a free out amount every year. Some companies say zero, but that's very uncommon. Most of them are in the 10 to 15% range. So if you put in $100,000 and you do need to get some of your money back out, again, if you're over the age of 59 and a half, you can usually find a 10% free out contract. Some of them are a little bit higher than that. Suitability issues. We discussed suitability with the traditional fixed annuities. Index annuities also fall under that. No more than 50% of your money, your investment dollars should be invested in annuities. But because they are a little bit more complicated product to explain to consumers, you got to be careful with elderlies and making sure that they do understand what you're talking about and how the credits occur and how they're going to earn money. Make sure you discuss surrender charges. If you choose a bonus product, the surrender charges might be longer. And traditionally on index annuities, they're going to be, the hot spot is going to probably be that 6 to 8 years as far as trying to get your best indexing. If you go longer than that, you might get some higher indexing, but also the client might need to stay in the contract longer. So the average commission, as I mentioned last week on fixed, you're looking at the 1 to 2.5 to maybe possibly 3 range, unless if they're over the age of 80. With index annuities, and this is one reason they're looked at so much, the 6 to 7 year products are going to be probably in the 4% commission range, and then you go up to 7, 8, 9%, 7, 8, 9 years, 10 years, you might get closer to the 6% range, and then those high end bonus products that I discussed, where the premium bonus is 22% on the income, you're looking as high as possibly 8, 9% commissions. So just like I said, we like to use A or A- or better rated companies. So whenever you're looking at those bonus products, make sure that they are still good quality. And a lot of them are. But just be careful on some of those large bonuses. They're nice to hear, but they can also be misleading. So back to the quality products that we like to show. 6 to 8 years on the index annuities is kind of the sweet spot. That's where you're going to get a fair and just crediting numbers. You can get bonuses. Surrender charges are going to be during that time. You can get about 10% out usually during those years. And as we talked about last week, before you show any annuities, Joe mentioned very specifically that you've done one of the hardest parts, and that is you got the client. Now going back to them and talking about how to enhance their returns on their investments, that's probably a much easier role to play. So, but you do need to be life and health insurance licensed in the state you're signing the application. You must have taken the 4-hour additional annuity training just like last week. And if you haven't done that yet, you can get that through the agent's advisor. You need to be in our system so we can get you appointed with the various carriers. And you definitely should go through some suitability standards, understanding, if a person's 74, 75, and you start talking to them and they don't seem to comprehend what you're discussing, you got to be a little careful about that. May need to go through some additional product training, which is most likely. Every company now is requiring a 10 to 20 minute product training session before you actually show the product. So those are pretty similar to the before you show annuities. Keep in mind the requirements that are out there. So part 2 of how to make fairly easy money helping clients and future clients purchase fixed annuities is all about the index side. And we discussed again the bonuses, we discussed the cap rates, how they work, how the insurance companies determine those cap rates. That's a whole other seminar altogether, but we wanted to keep it nice and simple and to the point today. Joe, would you like to add anything to that?
If you're looking for help, you're looking for assistance, thinking about growing your practice into more of a new role, whether it be adding life insurance, annuities, long-term care, or disability income products, look no further. The Agent's Advisor has built out a robust financial planning division to help you grow your business and also take your offerings to another level. A lot of you might be selling just the health insurance products or Medicare products, which is great. You're building a book of business, but take a good look at that book of business and ask yourself, if I could raise and grow my revenue an extra $15,000 or $30,000 in 2019, is that something that would be impactful to me and my agency? If that is, then reach out to us, give us a call. You can call us toll free, and we'll be glad to help you. We're looking forward to working with you as always, and make it a great day.